with the association agreement, right? Jocelyn said it's a very comprehensible. You have the political priorities, you have the economic priorities, you have on the one side agriculture, then you have as well, I don't know, transport, you name it. But the problem is that to implement all this, and here, for example, I'm talking from my own experience when I was working in Poland, and I was working in the Ministry of Agriculture, which was definitely not the most reformed. It's very, very painful. So back in 2004, in Poland, my director, that I was working with in the Department of the Veterinary Services, decided to bring new, basically they realized that there is a need to bring new fresh blood, speaking languages, questioning the system, because if you have for ages and ages the same civil servants who are doing things in the same way, there is no way with the most reformed, with the most advanced ministers that the reforms are going to move. I mean, it's just impossible. So, having said that, if Ukraine as a country wants to move on the association agreement, it's important that the ministries, that the central government, that the local governments are efficient, are working in a transparent way, and are able to implement those reforms. And this is true across, well, not only Ukraine with the association agreement, but this is also true for our enlargement countries. We work in the same way with the Western Balkans, with Turkey, with Eastern Partnership countries, with the southern neighborhoods. Wherever there is a complicated reforms, the public administration reform is a matter of all reforms. I mean, that's it. So, having said that, so we have this is what I told you a bit about the rationale for why the public administration for us matters, but it also brings, while the reforms are moving on, this also brings the benefits to the citizens. And it brings basically the moment that you have democratic, transparent institutions, they are able to protect the citizens' rights. The moment that you have capable civil servants understanding their policy, they are able to move on the reforms, and they are helping the country to grow. By the extension, they are helping also the civil society. If you have financial resources, human resources that are being managed properly by the public service, by the institutions, these are also having an impact because our taxes are being used properly. So you get better services, better quality for the same amount of money. And what does that mean in the longer term? It also prevents corruption. So it's not only about the NABU or an ACS, chasing big guys and so on and so forth. It's about closing space for corruption. And this is why the transparency is so, so important. That every citizen has an access to what the government is doing, to the future policies. So how is the impact assessment is conducted by the governments, etc. So every political decision is justified, is thought through, the civil society is involved, etc., etc. So the accountability is crucial. But I think everybody basically recognizes, it's just a logic. What I'm saying is pure logic. But it was never, the public administration reform was never recognized as a priority. So we have been working with the Ukrainian government since 2006 to make it a reform, to make it a priority reform. We never succeeded to convince that this is really the reform that should be persuaded. Only in 2010, when the association agreement was close to completion, then it has been decided, well, actually, now we have to find the capacities to implement it. Still, we are in 2010, nothing was happening. And only in 2015, the public administration reform has been treated as a priority with the adoption of the new civil service law, which allowed for the open, transparent recruitment, promotion of people, etc. And in 2016, the strategy, the public administration reform strategy was adopted. So we are now in the process that we have the documents, we have the basis, and we can work on them to implement. And 2017 is actually going to be very interesting here, because now we see really the speed of the reforms that is happening. It's still happening in Kiev, so it doesn't really reach different regions and so on. But gradually, it should have a spillover effect. Why? This is what I said. Why the public administration is important? It's important for the democratic society. It's important for every single citizen who believes in democratic values. It's important to have rule of law functioning. If you don't like a decision, you go and challenge that decision. You have possibilities of protecting your rights. It protects all citizens against discrimination. It provides quality public services. And here, I think it's worth mentioning that in Ukraine we see a big potential of having a lot of digitalized public service, and the government is working on that to have as much as possible e-services, and that will also provide, not only profits for business, basically to open the faster company, to get for the citizens some kind of administration decisions faster and so on and so forth, but it will also provide transparency. Who issued that? How does it? Why it has been issued, and so on and so forth. And finally, it will help to boost competitiveness and improve standards of living with the association agreement, DCFTA being a big part of it. This is I wonder whether you agree with that, but there is a lot of studies made on how the people see the public service, and there is some kind of there are perceptions. I personally share a lot of them, and I have been in my discussions with the colleagues from the government's institutions. They confirmed that the people are changing a lot, especially after 2014, with the change of salaries. A lot of people, they left the public administration. They don't believe in the public administration. They think it's basically the end of their careers. Nothing is going to happen. And then at the same time, no new people are coming. So it doesn't seem as a very attractive employer. With the difference, for example, of the National Bank, which when they started having competitions, because they worked so much on the branding, so much on the salaries and on the transparent procedures and so on, they had queues coming to apply for them. So low remuneration. What I can add to that, basically what you see is not what you get. So whenever there is a post, we know that official salary is what, 200, 300 euros, something like that. But very often there are some advantages and bonuses and this and that and so on, and then at the end of the day you don't really know. Your salary can be 300, your salary can be 3,000. But you don't know it because it's so untransparent. Obscure selection procedures and political influences of civil servants, and that's true. We had selection of the state secretaries, which by itself was not that obscure, but the fact that the procedure was not as transparent as it should, the publications were not that transparent. We would have more people applying and more selection. Now, limited career perspective. It's hard to argue. The most interesting jobs are on the highest echelon of the career perspective, and not everybody are getting there. And the perception of corruption. So, if we work on the public administration, how is it going to? Yeah, sure.
So why is the most important question is always should come in the beginning? Like I don't need like salary, this or that, if I know why. Like, if I know why it comes as a result, my salary and all aspects. At least it's what's...
Yeah, but okay, but I mean, then tell me, for example, now, I mean, you have now the situation like that. Let's say, would you be interested in working now for the public administration?
But I don't know why. I know what for. Like for example, in things what I do, I know clearly why I do it. So
yeah, well, the public administration, it's you believe in your country, you serve your country, and you want to do it's a public service, let's say. So, as a private sector, I mean, you work for your own good, right? Mm-hmm. Here you come with the idea that you want to do something. I'm a patriot, I want to do something. Like, for example, I wanted to go for the European Commission, to work for the European Commission, because I do believe in European values, and I want to work with the same minded people. And I believe in Europe, as opposed to just one country. So, it's the same, you know, the psychological question whether you want to answer. No, theoretical. But having said that, you need to, you know, it's one thing to reply to the question, why, but the other part is to get all this, I mean, you need to have all the conditions that will allow you to do that, right? That the public servants won't be searching possibilities somewhere else.
I mean, what is the message of the structure which communicates to every citizen who would possibly join the structure and serve for the structure? Is it about that if I join, I will be able to make society better by this or that? Or if I join, I have lots of benefits regarding my retirement and job opportunity. No, so what is the message?
That's not the second message that you want to pass. The first message is you want to work for the public institution because you want to make your country better, and this is what is missing now. It's because I have this possibility. So I do have a salary, I do have a career that allows me to live on a decent level. I do have a career perspective. I do have a training possibilities that will allow for me to develop and also to, you know, progress career-wise. Not convinced?
How is it seen?
Yes, so that's exactly at the end of my presentation. But this is actually, this slide shows you in principle, I mean, what we believe will change if we do successfully public administration reform. So that each and every citizens will have equal access to public services in Ukraine. So not necessarily that somebody paid somewhere and so on will get a faster access to Miss, I don't know, Natasha, let's say, or something like that, or we'll get the paper faster or something, or you know, this kind of daily things. But also I'm thinking as well about the bigger, higher stakes. That the quality of the service system will be in according to the EU rules, meaning that will be efficient, it will be effective, it will be transparent, etc. Then the openness and accountability of the public service. But here, in fact, actually, what we should put the two together: professional and politically impartial services for society benefits, because. In fact, it's about the policy making. It's about the government that when they come up with idea that they want to pursue certain policy goal, they involve the civil societies in that reflections. Meaning that the civil society have a possibility to contribute to the idea, to the legal act, and it's also, you know, I recognize the interlocutors. For example, I know it's in the Commission, it's very being a very well in the EU institution being very bureaucratic institutions because of the number of stakeholders involved. But this without without involvement of stakeholders, it's not possible to move any legislation. So that people need to be they need to feel as a part of the decision-making process. And this is also the cooperation between the civil society and authorities. And in Ukraine, where we see that how lively the civil society is, how many organizations there are, it's still not enough that they are being seen as a counterpart for the government. Because in fact, know-how really is in the civil societies. In my sphere, I'm lucky enough that the people who are work with the NGOs, they know public service very, very well, and they contribute, and the government is listening to them. But this is not always the case. So, a little background of the implementation of the public administration in Ukraine. As I mentioned, it goes a bit beyond 2006. It took us some year to arrive where we are. Now we are fully ready to start implementing that, but with the civil service law, with the public administration strategy, and what are the key components of the public administration. I'm going to run very, very briefly because I think that the most important parts are farther, but just for you to understand. So it's about a policy planning. It's about strategic planning, thinking not only 1 year and solving issues like, okay, something doesn't work, I'm going to now produce a new piece of legislation on top of 50 ones existing. No. Every resource used needs to have a purpose. So new approaches to the adoption of the informed government decisions based on policy analysis. The analytical capacity is there. You have plenty of think tanks, you have plenty of organizations of different sorts and so on. Somehow they don't have traction to the government. Capable ministries of drivers of reform implementation. Not only ministers, not only deputies, but the civil service on the different levels. The cabinet of ministers being as a center of the government that coordinates, that makes sure that the prime minister's priorities and ministers' priorities are coherent. Human resource management, which ensures that basically there is a merit-based recruitment, that there are transparent procedures, that the people are promoted according to their qualities, that the career prospects are there. And the final one, quality of administrative services and e-governance tools. So, and this is where we are now. This is 2017. So, Prime Minister in April announced that in order to make the ministries, and this is where we are really speaking now on the macro level, to make the ministries more efficient, he wanted, they need to look at themselves and see really which functions they have and which functions they shouldn't have. And this is an exercise that is ongoing, but already we see kind of interesting patterns. So the ministries, as center of government, they should be doing policies. They should be doing strategic thinking. Whether they do that? No. They do. They give licenses, they manage SOEs, they sign, they give leaves for the management or this kind of stuff, but they don't think strategically. So the Prime Minister, the Cabinet of Ministers said, fine, so we are going to do this mapping now. We are going to say that the Ministry of Transport should be doing only transport, different types of transport, for example, and we want to have people who knows this policy, but also who will know how to think strategically. So in each ministry there will be in each ministry there will be director generals who are going to be responsible for every single policy. They are going to be surrounded by a little team, analysts, strategists, and so on and so forth, and they are going to really do a modern. It's a very ambitious, because that's a target, it's a very ambitious project, because, and also the timeline, because Prime Minister promised to have 1,000 staff to be employed until 2017. to make it happen. You don't believe?
I'm just kind of excited, but yeah.
Well, we are helping with that. I mean, you know, it's, as I said, it's a very ambitious project.
I'm just wondering how he's gonna lead this 1,000 people.
Well, that's why I'm here. That's why you're here. No? I mean, we are just, a little drop, but everybody are working on that, and we are helping the cabinet of ministers, the ministers, to make sure that this organizational structure is going to be in accordance with the EU best practices and what's happening in the member states and so on. But also that whatever is going to happen with this 1,000 civil servants in 2017, and then 3,000 by 2020, that, I mean, they are going to be improved in a way that nobody is going to tell us that somebody's brother or a nephew has been improved. Huh? That they will simply select the best of the best. People speaking languages, people are capable of analyzing, people capable of strategic thinking.
Can you also please give an example of strategic thinking in comparison to not very strategic thinking?
What's happening now? And I guess you heard it many times that everybody are saying that Ukraine is over-regularized, right? So you have a lot of legislations that basically it's being built on the legislation and so on. Now every single thing is being solved through that. There is no other way to reflect on the changes. While the legislation is not only a tool, you have plenty of other soft tools. And the strategic thinking is to be able to take all your possible tools. I mean, to assess your goal, to assess your impact of what do you want to achieve, and then select a concrete tool. It doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be legislation. Maybe it can be an institutional change. Maybe it can be soft measures. Maybe it's building capacity. I mean, there are a number of issues how you could do it. But the good strategic thinking person has, looks very, very much in advance. It doesn't look in 1 year. Looks in 5 and 6 years' time how the impact is going to be. So, for that purpose, in the ministries, there should be a unified policy coordination unit, but they will also have a task of European integration coordination, because that will help. Now, in the Cabinet of Ministers, there is obviously Office of the European Coordination, that Office of the European Integration, that has a more kind of general role and supporting and so on. But in fact, the know-how is really in the ministries. So, how do we support? We support mostly through the budget support. The budget support cannot work without credible strategy. So, in our assessment, when we decided that we are going to put more than 100 million into the reform, in the public administration reform, we assess that the strategy is credible for us, that this will happen. So, having said that, there are still other things that we are also working on, and we have constantly experts that are advising in the that are advising on the government to make these reforms happen. But we also have a company, an HR company, that is helping the government to make sure that the competitions are going to run smoothly, that they are going to be open. We are having a communication company. We are also working ourselves on the promotion of this. So there are many aspects, many interlocutors, and I think what is also good to mention that this HR company is not only working on the competition, but they also work with the government to make sure that the salaries that are going to be published, they are going to be attractive for the private sector as well, to have as much as possible new people coming in with the different experience, with the different sectors, so that the administration really has this renewal of people who will be able to also question the system, who will be able to take unconventional decisions. And they will not be saying, well, we've done this way for the last 20 years and we are going to do it the same way for 20 years. But it's going to take some time to make a comprehensive public administration reform. So we have a few high-level experts that are helping, and in particular, I don't know whether you know Mr. Miklos and Mr. Balcerovich, but they are forming part of the support group for Ukraine. So they are helping the government on the very high level. We are having an advisory team with the former minister of the public administration from Slovenia, who comes regularly to Kiev, and he advises on the how to make on the different aspects of the reform. And also, what might be interesting for you in particular, we have reform support teams in different ministries. They are Ukrainian consultants who are attached directly to the minister, and it's an open competition that we are conducting, and they help the ministers already now to reform. And they also work on a number of reform priorities. So, for example, such reform support teams, they are based in the Ministry of Infrastructure, in the Ministry of Regional Development. Ministry of Regional Development is still looking for some candidates. Ministry of Infrastructure will launch a competition. Ministry of Economy is having a team, and they are still looking for some people. Ministry of Agriculture, Ministry of Finance, and in the Cabinet of Ministers, Reform Delivery Office. I think they also have a few vacancies. Yes.
How are you going to implement this system, Ukrainian system? I mean, it would work like people, these 1,000 people from EU, will work shoulder to shoulder with ministers or like heads of administrations, and how it's going to work like in practice?
Look, I mean, this 1,000 people, you are asking about the 1,000 people that joined my province, no?
Yes.
Well, 3,000 altogether.
Yes.
Yeah. In fact, they are going to be civil servants. So the idea is that they are going to be civil servants. It's just like you have you have a structure now with the departments and so on. What's going to happen, the first step, is to reorganize the ministries, so to make ministries transparent.
So it will change the system?
Yes.
Oh.
So it will be renewed ministries, that people who are going to go there, they are going to be civil servants, they will have a special requirements, they will have a special salary, and they will work specifically on the policy making.
It's a huge reform.
It's very big. I fully agree. It's a very, very big challenge.
There will be Ukrainian citizens, right?
It will be Ukrainian civil servants, yes.
Because I think there is a misunderstanding that some people think that there will be EU citizens. No, there will be Ukrainian citizens.
Oh.
There will be Ukrainian civil servants.
Young people, I don't know.
I just thought maybe it's like the consultants from EU.
You know, I think in this country there's sufficient amount of consultants running around, and I think there is really in this particular case, it's really for
How you choose those people from Ukraine?
Open competition.
Okay.
Open competition. With really checking the knowledge.
And
you can apply. You can all apply.
When?
The only question is when. It should start already in September.
But the competition is within each ministry, right? So, or there will be some, upper competition.
Well, the idea is to have, at least for the information, the idea is to have like one entry. So we are working on that. That basically, if you go to the Cabinet of Ministers site, there might be a special link and so on. That you will see all the possibilities that you have. that you don't have to go to 5 ministries to search for different positions, but you will have one entry. But having said that, I would like actually to come back to the reform support teams, because those are also Ukrainian professionals. But they are employed on a temporary basis. They are helping the ministries already now, because by the time obviously September is it's very close. But at the same time, these reform support teams, we have already started them some time ago to make sure that the work is happening. That people are already working on the strategies, on the policies, etc., etc. So, and there you have also plenty of positions open. Companies that we are working with, but I'm sure most of them you know, and they are helping us to make this whole system more modern and meeting all the standards, and that it's really for the benefits of the Ukrainian citizens. I think this is basically where I stop. If you have any comments or questions,
so how do you motivate people from all systems who now work in the ministry to go away and just
this is a tricky one.
Go away.
go away, please?
I mean, obviously, it's an evolution, not revolution. So it won't be really the case that we will just fire, thousands of people, or the government is going to fire. It's not the purpose. Now, it's the proposed structure is going to build in on the basis of the existing one. So the director generals, with their analysis, with their policy paper and so on, they are going to function on top of the existing structures. In the long term, with the decentralization, with the privatization, with changing of the tasks of the ministries, it will become clear which tasks should go away. And together with the tasks, normally it should be reduction of staff. So it will take some time. Again, we are on the most exciting point where really things are happening, where people are having possibility of making the change.
So the staff is of ministries, it stays, but new people also come and add them.
The competitions will be open, so in principle anybody can apply. If the staff wants to apply, they want to have the
If they don't apply, they are fired.
Well, they are not fired like that, because you have to first make a reorganization and then start transferring the responsibilities.
But do you have a clear plan? You have the position for each person from those 3,000? No.
Wait for the 7th of July. This is the date when the ministries are supposed to present their new structures, their ideas, how they see, how they are. So it's right now. It's less than 2 weeks, 3 weeks. And then the summer period will go through. We should start launching competitions.
Questions?
Where we can see these vacancies about which you are talking?
Well, we want to make a one-entry portal, so that you might go to the Secretary of the Cabinet of Ministries or the National Agency, and you will have one link that will send you to all the possible positions. Because the idea is to have it really complete, transparent, easy accessible, online application, but you don't have to put pages and pages and pages, and by the time you will make your full dossier, you are thinking, oh my God, why do I need it?
Nice.
Questions?
Let me ask a question. There is in this reform, in this new public administration law, there is this position of state secretary, right? So the person who will be independent of political influences will guarantee the policy sustainability. So this, what the EU is doing with these funds, is it also to support these state secretaries? I mean, with this competition, will it be also the competition for these positions, or
no? The state secretaries are there. The recruitment of the state secretaries took place. they are already there in most of the ministries. I think there are two missing. We have provided some initial training for them. We work on that. But in fact, actually, what's happening is that many of those state secretaries, they are really eager to support this reform, because the state secretary, I mean, it's kind of the top of the pyramid, let's say. But they are also dealing with the human resources, with the financial aspects, and so on and so forth. So in each ministry, there is a working group that looks at the ministry and are telling how we are going to be structured, how we want to have it, where will we have the director generals, and what is going to be the adjustment. And the state secretaries, they are very active. Some of them, they are leading this group, some of them, they are part of it. So they are part of the process.
Another question, do you think, well, I think one of the risks is that there are new people coming, then the rest are staying, that are underpaid compared to these new people, and they can have a practice of sabotage, for example. They like this attitude, okay, you're a newcomer, so well paid, I'm not going to implement what you say.
But that's why this was exactly the fear when we have started establishing the reform support teams. But in fact, what is working the most crucial part of this is to have a minister on board. The moment that the minister believes that those are really the people who are going to deliver, then, I mean, you cannot escape from here and there attractions. But so far, our experience with the reform support teams, which are not even civil servants, those people will be civil servants, but the reform support teams, they are not civil servants, they are completely external consultants that are coming. So far, so good.
And these reform support teams, they can also apply to
Yes.
Yes.
Do you expect many people applying also in the
We expect that there's no interest. Because in fact they enjoy working in the administration, but what they enjoy is the fact that actually they have an impact.
More questions? How many people do you want to join the public administration?
Have I convinced you?
What about the power of those people? They are just like consulting
Which
of those 3,000 people.
they are going to be civil servants.
So they will consult ministers, like in questions, represent Ukrainian people, and they
There will be Ukrainians.
I understand.
Yeah.
They have knowledge
Yeah.
in some area, yes,
Yeah.
and they will consult
Not
minister.
consult, they are policymakers, they're not
Yeah.
consultants.
So they can
They will be the ones who are proposing proposing policies.
Okay.
And the idea is to have it really flat institute, flat organization, that you will have civil servants, maybe head of teams, and then depending how big it is, director generals, ministers.
Except for